Hello, our dear mystery lovers. Today with you, Deena and Natasha.
Hello.
We are going to talk about the Fool, the first card in the major arcana. So it's a very important and interesting card, and this is what you are looking at right now. This is the Fool from the deck, the famous deck Raider Waite, which is considered to be classical deck.
So this is the deck here.
Mm-hmm. So, but we prefer to work with other decks, but you need to recognize this particular one because maybe in other tutorials you will see this one. This is the most popular. That's why it's very important to recognize this card. Also, we have other decks, and a very, very beautiful deck that we want to show you is Visconti Tarot. This is a wonderful masterpiece of the medieval art, I would say Renaissance art. So this is the deck that survived from the 15th century. And this is the Fool from this deck.
Okay, beautiful.
Also we have another wonderful deck, the Alchemy. And this is the Fool from this deck.
Very nice.
We have another interesting deck, the Russian Tarot. And this is the Fool from this deck. I love Ciro Marchetti art very much, and this is the Fool from the Gilded Tarot. Unfortunately, it's a bit shabby because I used it for a long, long, long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And our favorite is Tarot Grand Lux. So this is the Fool from this deck. So now we will be talking about very, very significant things.
But first, let's look at the symbology.
Let's look.
Are there things that are different in each of the renditions of the Fool?
You know, the fact is that the main idea that it's a jester, right? It's a jester. There is some difference. For example, some people ask why the Fool walks here on this deck from the right to the left, because it's like from the future to the past. It's not correct, because the Fool should go from the left to the right, right? From the left, from the past to the future. So this is a bit strange, and many people pose this question. What shall I say? You know, maybe this is the creativity of the author of this deck. Like, for example, here we don't see any motion at all, right? In the Gilded Tarot. This one is also like it does not move at all. So there is a symbolism. For example, we see this cliff, this sheer cliff, and the person doesn't care about his future actually. So he behaves strangely. He doesn't care about very, very important things, about danger. But overall, we must understand that this card is about a jester.
Why is this one a skull?
You know, this is the specific design of this particular deck, which is the Alchemy deck. I love it very much, but it's very distracting indeed, because many cards show you dead bodies, dragons. So it's like about demons, devils, and so this is the specific feature of the design. So we should not be distracted by this strange Fool. It's just the specific feature of the design. So let's talk about the specific characteristics of this card. What does it represent? What does it mean? So we actually can remove all these cards, because now I'm going to talk mostly about this one. So they are the same. They are the same. The only card that we need right now is the Fool, Tarot Grand Lux. Actually, it refers to any card from any other deck. We were just showing you the designs, and we wanted to emphasize that this is the same card. It doesn't matter which design you have, your main ideas, your main concepts are the same for any deck. So let's look at this card. What does it represent? So the first meaning is childishness, frivolous attitude towards life, pranks, unconventional behavior, unconventional choices.
So is this always about silliness or craziness?
You know, I don't think so. So if we have decided that it's a jester is such a character that can afford himself much more than other people can do. If we remember something about the medieval history, the jesters were those very people who could afford themselves to tell the truth to the kings, while other people were afraid to do that. So it's not about stupidity, it's not about silliness, it's more about non-serious behavior, non-serious attitudes towards life. Actually, it's about being joyful. And also it's about childish attitudes towards life, not about stupidity or silliness.
So when would the Fool be important for a spread?
Okay, so this is a very important question, because please pay attention that it has 0 as a numerical meaning. But it has also 22 as its numerical meaning, and it's very, very important when we make some spreads. For example, we showed you, our dear mystery lovers, the spread that is called the Big Cross. When we talked about this spread, we emphasized, we stressed that idea that you need to keep in mind the number on the card, because your resulting card that gives you the meaning of all the spread is the sum of those 4 cards that participate in your spread. So right now I will imitate for you such a spread, showing how to calculate the result if you have the Fool in the spread that contains 0 and 22. So I just want to remind you that my spread that I showed you in the previous video had 4 positions. The first one is what exists in reality. I am just taking different cards. It doesn't matter what kind of cards I take. So let's say our question is about the successful development of our business project. So, will our project be successful? The first one is the card that means what exists in reality. The second card, the second, so to say, position, represents what does not exist. So we have number 10 and number 1 here. Mm-hmm. The third card that I need for this spread, which is called the Big Cross, is the representation of the foundation of your situation. This is card with number 11. And finally, let's take the Fool. Let's take the Fool, which has 0 on it, but we keep in mind that it also corresponds to 22. Mm-hmm. So let's put it here. This is the final card of the spread that means outcome. Let's calculate what we have here. So we have number 10. We must add to number 10 11. Then goes 1. And then goes 0. So as one result for this spread, we have 22. 22. 22 is the card that exists in our spread. It's actually the Fool himself. So one of the results of our spread about the success of our business project is 22, the Fool himself. Right? This is the first result. And Let's calculate the same sum one more time, but taking into consideration that the full also stands for 22. It's the same amount plus 22. And now we have 44. 44 exceeds the number of the major arcana that we have. It means that we will have to add 4 plus 4 in order to get the final result. So if we add 4 and 4, we will get 8. 8 is the strength. So for this particular spread about the successfulness of our business project, we will have two answers, two responses. Actually, they do not contradict to each other, but we need to think more about how to combine them and how to interpret them together. I'm trying to find the strength here in my deck. Here it is, this beautiful lady with the lion. So, for this particular spread, we have two answers, two responses. One of them is the Fool, which means that we are too optimistic about our success. We are too optimistic, or maybe we are too careless. We think that the project will go smoothly without specific effort. But in reality, we take this, we get the second card, number 8, as a result, which is the strength, and it means that we have to put a lot of effort in order to make our project successful. So I want to say that in comparison to other spreads like this, where you have only one result, for example, this card or any other else, in such spreads where you have the Fool that stands for 0 and 22, you will have two different cards as an outcome of your spread. And you will have to think how to combine and how to interpret these two cards together. So this is one thing that I wanted to discuss with you. Natasha, do you have any questions?
No, it's very well explained, I think.
Okay, what I'm going to talk about now. I want to say that our Fool, Natasha, please, can you help me?
Yeah.
I want to keep this card. Our Fool can be interpreted differently depending on what kind of sphere of life is interesting for you. So it's clear that people are mostly interested in 3 spheres of life: in their relationships, in their health, and in their job and business. Right? Mm-hmm. Right. So in order to understand how we can interpret this card in different types of spreads, let's start from the relationships. Mm-hmm. So if we see this card in the spread for the relationships, we must admit that this relationship is not serious. If you have this card as a representation of your partner is joyful and playful, but he does not take your relationships seriously.
A joker.
A joker, exactly. It's a joker. Let's say that I'm making a spread on relationship. I'm just taking any cards. I won't interpret them. I'm showing you how this spread looks like. So the first card is usually what your partner thinks about you. The second card is what your partner feels towards you. And the last card, the third one, is how he behaves in relation to you. And I need to say to you, my dear mystery lovers, that you can use all the deck. It's not only about the major arcana, because right now I'm showing you the major arcana, but you can use for this spread all the deck, the entire deck. And from the next side, from the second side, you are showing the same towards him, like as a querent, you look at your own ideas, thoughts, feelings, and behavior. This is what you think about the partner. Mm-hmm. This is what you feel towards him. And this is how you behave. So let's say we have such a beautiful spread, and what is between you, what is the quality of your relationship. The quality of your relationship is represented by the Fool. It
So-
means, sorry.
Sorry. So you would first pull these cards out, then these, and then this one would be last?
Yes, this one
Okay.
would be last. So the first one is the first row or column
You
is,
start with this.
yes, I'm starting from your partner, then this is what you feel and think, and finally we put this card as the representation of the quality
Of
of
the
your
entire relationship.
entire relationship. Exactly. And when we see the Fool, it means that the relationship is not serious. So we must admit that in the spreads about relationships, the Fool is not the ideal card, right? It's not the best. But we have other types of spreads. For example, the spreads about health. What we can say if you have the Fool as the final card in the spread about health? It means it's very good. Now, this
Oh.
card is very good because in order to make jokes, you must be healthy
Oh, okay.
and young, right?
You see, I would think the opposite, because it's bad for relationships. It would be bad for health.
Natasha, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. But from my point of view, like it's not only my point of view. It's first of all, it's I'm saying this on the basis of my practice, right? And also I've heard from other tarologists, and I've read a lot of stuff. So the Fool represents a young, joyful person. If the person is young and joyful,
Youthful,
it means that he
healthy.
has. Yes, you're right. He's very healthy. And what else? And if it has some diseases, they cure by themselves. So they disappear without any special effort, without any investments of money, and so on. Everything happens quickly and without any scars, let's say, on the soul and on the body. So it's a very good card in terms of health. And let's say we are talking about business. So if we take the spread about business and you get this card as the final card of your spread about business, let's say the Celtic Cross, the classical spread, you get this card. You know, sometimes we can think about some stupidity, but most of all, I would say that it's also a positive card for the business because it represents unconventional choices. And we must realize and admit that those people who can make unconventional choices are the great entrepreneurs.
So thinking outside the box.
Exactly, your formulation is beautiful, excellent, you're right. So these people can see business opportunities in those spheres and places where other people are just blind.
Okay.
So I would say that for business, it's a good card too. Now, if we summarize, we can say that in the relationships, if you see this card, it's about not being non-serious. It's about being frivolous towards the situation. But if this card represents your health or your business future, I would say that it's rather positive.
Interesting.
So basically, this is what we were going to discuss today.
Well, thank you for explaining all of this to us, Deena.
Natasha, thank you so much for your questions.
And thank you to the audience.
Thank you so much, guys.